is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours.
get an insight and you know something, you know? But you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know? But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Trying to find the angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll! Whoa! White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna give themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Sagafar is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh, my goodness. The fourth one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Hello and welcome everybody to the CGL playoffs. We are in winners round 2. TEC versus Completely Melted. I am Thousand Eyes here alongside Megalass, and we have a banger series set up for you guys.
Exactly. It's going to be an interesting one if you're, just tuning in. Obviously, we have so many brackets, so many things to go through, but the little TLDR history lesson here is Completely Melted. Their round 1, they already had to pull off a massive upset against 0907. Their first win in weeks. Couldn't have come through at a better time, but now the biggest upset of all stands before them. TEC comes out of the regular season undefeated, and they're ready to just keep that train rolling.
Absolutely. Why don't we take a look at our bracket, just see where things have already gone here. As we can see, TEC get that 3-1, get the victory there, and like you said, Completely Melted get the upset victory. A close match, to be fair, but they are the ones that are moving on in winners round 2, and like you said, it's another David versus Goliath. They have to continue to punch above their weight class to keep moving forward.
And it's going to be so unbelievably hard, right? Like, obviously, it's hard anytime you're having to punch up like that, but a team like TEC, right? Again, 8-0 regular season, a little bit of a falter in the midseason, sure, if you're looking at that tournament specifically, but overall, right, this team just looks so unbelievably stacked on the side of TEC. They just seem to have it all going for them. So to find, the weaknesses in that armor is going to be tough.
Absolutely. You have to hope that the momentum for Completely Melted is going to come into play coming into today. But why don't we look now at our team lineups? First up, TEC, to go down who is going to be playing today. It is going to be Clobber, Coughlin, Johannes, Freg, and Ackerman going out at the start of the day.
And this team, I mean, if there's one name that comes to mind, it's probably going to be Clobber, right? They, always on the Venture, right? Venture OTP, some might say, but they make it work, especially in metas where maybe Venture wasn't the strongest. But now, with this resurgence of the Malga meta, we've seen Venture come out here and there as like a niche pick, pocket pick for some players. But to have that all the time is really going to make a difference.
Absolutely there. And even I'm aware of the fact that Clobber is going to be playing Venture whenever possible there. Why don't we take a look at our other team of the day? The Challenger is coming up against the Gods. It is Completely Melted with D-Cruz, Karama, Depsy, Roofed, and Tomex.
Yeah, and when you're looking at Completely Melted, right, it's a very small roster, not a bunch of players here, but, they have the players in the correct position, right? This support line is who I'm going to be looking to. They've been so excellent all season long at being able to keep people up and sustaining them in fights where realistically they don't have any right to be in these fights still. And so if their support line can pull off another amazing performance like that today, that's going to be their path to victory against this TEC squad.
Definitely. They're going to have to be on their A game today, because I'm sure TEC are not going to be giving them a lot of opportunities for themselves here. And with the Venture as well, possibly getting into that back line, trying to make things difficult for those healers could be a problem to keep an eye on.
Exactly, and as we're looking towards our map set, the first pick, who could have seen it coming? It's Lijiang Tower. Knowing that it's control first, Lijiang Tower, you're going to see it picked a lot of the time. We have had some Antarctic peninsulas across the brackets. I'll give some teams credit. They have, tried to mix it up. But, I mean, Lijiang, it's just so stable, so reliable, and sets a good, sort of precedent for how the series is going to go.
Has been a very comfortable map, and I think that's honestly something that should play a little bit in both teams' favors, right? You're not getting out into weird territory. Everybody's knowing what to expect here as we are getting ready for our first round of the day. Nothing too crazy seemingly coming out. We have the Symmetras for the TPs, and then everything else looks about standard, I think.
I mean, the glaring thing, right? Johanna's on the Orisa. If this actually walks out versus the Mauga, we've seen, with Mauga coming back in, right? If you're going to continue to play the Orisa style, it's very specific what you have to do. Your cooldowns have to be on point because otherwise that Mauga will just burst you down with those miniguns.
Definitely. We also have the Reaper from D-Cruise coming out a little bit later there after the TG. Johannes already on the point, and they're looking to get in the fight early here. Johannes is already gone, though, and that is a big loss for TEC. They've lost their front line, will back away, and Completely Melted. First fight of the day looks already pretty good for them.
I mean, again, it's this comp matchup here, right? When you're looking at it as Johannes, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. Obviously, also doesn't help that Ackerman went down so early in the fight there. But really, I mean, this Orisa is going to struggle, right? Not just the Mauga, but you have a Reaper that's going to constantly be in your face, dealing pressure and damage here. I mean, it's really going to be on these CPS to try to open something up for TEC.
Yeah, and they're pushing forward here. Mauga diving in, just staying alive, firing into this Orisa, whose health bar is barely moving, finally goes down. Dempsey grabs that kill, and now, again, another push back by Completely Melted. TEC on the back foot from moment one now.
Yeah, this next fight, again, you're hoping for your DPS to open it up. Coughlin does have a nice pulse bomb here. All it takes is one stick onto a brig, and this will be wide open for TEC to walk forward. But, beyond that, they are just sort of in a waiting game, trying to see some other ults they can make space with.
Do have the Juno ult and the Blade ready to go. Blade gonna come out now, just go deep into the backline here. Not able to get a whole lot. Johannes does get a kill on D-Cruise, and now maybe the line starting to falter for Completely Melted as TEC starting to push forward. In comes the Mauga once again, firing into the Orisa, but there's not a lot of health coming back in. Pepsi's gonna go down, and Completely Melted will have to back away. Clobber and Coughlin, though, continuing to put the pressure down, and Completely Melted, they're gonna lose the point, but 75% grab there is not bad at all.
No, I mean, you'll take that, especially considering your investment, right? Just ended up being the Dragon Blade, especially with D-Cruise giving up on the Blossom and switching here. You did trade out for Terra Surge, which is nice. The one thing about Completely Melted on the Mauga comp here is what you're seeing. Clobber having this Ventral is going to be massive for just creating space.
Already seeing now, Completely Melted looking for another push here. Ultimates are coming out on both sides. Rally being used by TEC to try and hold this area, but there is too much damage coming in. They are just firing freely. Completely Melted get another win, and they push off TEC. And now it feels like there's just one fight left for this round. Stick does not grab the kill, but TEC, they have one shot left.
One shot left, and again, it keeps coming back to these DPS. I feel like it's going to be the crucial thing. Clobber has this Venture ult. The Tectonic Shock has to be big, but it's too late!
Gonna move in now. Johannes still trying to move forward, but there is a lone Tracer just buying time. Will not cap the point. Overtime used, but will not get back in. About to go down, and now will not touch. Round number one goes over to Completely Melted.
Goes to them in a dominant fashion here. TEC, I don't know if this is actually what they wanted to play or if they're simply trying to size up their opponent here, but the Mauga meta, the shifts, they come quick with these tanks, which brawl tank is going to be favorable, who's got that survivability. But even beyond, just the hero selection, right? Completely Melted, they didn't give space. They kept their foot on the gas the entire time. That's the sort of momentum and pressure you need to put on these top teams, right? Because these top teams, they're going to try to disrespect you. They're going to try to push you to the side. And if you're showing that you're willing to go toe-to-toe, be the aggressor in these fights, it shows that you have the momentum and the pace to do what needs to be done to get these wins.
I mean, exactly. It's true in so many games of just, can you keep the pressure up? If you are the one making the move first, you have the advantage, and that is coming in clutch for Completely Melted. We do see Johannes move over to the Mauga. It is going to be Mauga v Mauga for this next point, and it is Chunkrat as well, just firing into this middle area here. Health bar is starting to fall a little bit for Completely Melted. D-Cruise gets caught out, and that is one member down. Rod FD next to go. Tom X will fall shortly as well. Dempsey does back away for now. Will eventually go down, but the point in the meantime capped by TEC.
And the thing with the Junkrat is you almost lose some of that pressure, right? Junkrat is a character that wants to sit back and spam down these corridors, these sight lines here with the grenades, and that's where Junkrats will always find their value, surely. But, you know, that style, it lends to itself to be more passive, and you gotta check corners!
Did not check the corner, regretting that. Does get out of it alive, but was a scary moment. And Coughlin in the back there does get trapped and will get blown up. So that is the Tracer gone for TEC. And they're going to give a little bit of ground. Malga jumping in versus Depsy. Depsy losing HP, does not have the heals coming in just yet. Will be able to get a little bit of help, but not going to stay alive for too much longer. Meanwhile, Kurama, Rod FD, they're doing some work in the backline. Clobber finally takes down Depsy, but here comes the cavalry from Completely Melted. They've gotten back onto the point. They need to cap this. This is a lot of time going over to TEC, and they finally get their win, and they're going to start capping themselves.
Like you said, that took a little too long. I feel like TEC probably got about 15 free percentage points there. But, you know, something important, right? The rally already had to be invested for Completely Melted here. So, you know, that important sustain tool gone. But now the cages are already out.
Yeah, and they're fighting. Depsy just ignoring the opposite Malga, as Jihadis is not even getting hit here. That is 3 members gone from Completely Melted, and just as soon as they get their win, they lose it again. Point's going to go back over to TEC.
Yeah, but I mean, TEC, they just threw everything in the kitchen sink into that fight, right? Both support ults, the cage, the pulse, you name it, it was invested there. That's a good pick on the D-Cruise, because now you need to buy that time. Kurama's going to be looking for an opportunity with this blade. Same with D-Cruise in this tire here for Completely Melted, but only time will tell if they can actually secure what they were after.
Completely Melted. Not looking anywhere near as strong as they did in the first round. Kurama already at 10 HP after the blade. Does not get anything done with that. D-Cruise does trade with Coughlin. Here comes the tire as well. Doesn't grab a kill. Does a lot of damage, but not able to do the deed. And in comes Johannes again onto the point. The Malga v Malga fight once again. And Depsy still the first one to start losing HP. Does reset a little bit and is going to go further back in. Johannes on a sliver of HP finally goes down, and I think Completely Melted have been able to get their win at the overtime moment, able to cap the point, and we're still gonna go on in this round.
Yeah, but I mean, they've put themselves in a hole, because now anytime they invest ultimates, right, unless they can force that trade out from TEC, oh, the absolute craziness of this venture, you gotta be ready. You gotta be just willing to check corners for the rest of the match, because I promise Clobber will be lurking every time.
Definitely. Clobber has been looking around now, as now Rod FD going in with the rally. Gotta take Jihadis down immediately, and TEC again just cannot get out of their base. Juno used as well. TEC could not get anything done, and now that's a big ultimate down.
I was gonna say, you know, they can't overinvest, right? TEC could actually just wait for a 99 fight where they get ult after Completely Melted, but the waste of that orbital ray now means you're missing that tool, and this tire could be massive.
Tire looking, sneaking around, does not get over. It's not, it gets deleted. Clobber grabs that one. Meanwhile, D-Cruise and Depsy, though, they do take out members, so the distraction was worth it. And again, Completely Melted, they're holding the line right now. One more fight here for TEC. They could lose this first map.
It's going to be difficult, but TEC does have a massive ult advantage. Just a matter of, can they beat Completely Melted inside of the orbital ray?
Already seeing the backline. The Tracer getting on to the point here as Johannes goes down. Ackerman next to fall. Coughlin low as well. Karamo's been traded away for it, but Rod FD still up and Completely Melted. I think they found their win. They just need to finish it off. Clobber does grab one kill, and Coughlin responds as well, but they are not going to get on to the point, and it is Completely Melted that grab map number 1.
And I mean, this Malga meta, it's a neutralizer in a lot of ways. Depsy, maybe a little bit of a ego there. It's one map. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But they just looked confident, right? That first round, being able to shut down TEC on their preferred composition, showing the weaknesses that it has there. And then round 2, obviously a bit of a closer affair once that Mauga became a mirror matchup, but ultimately the ult rotations, as well as some very expensive costs from the side of TEC, maybe investing in fights they just shouldn't have, allowed that map to slip away. And now Completely Melted, if they didn't have confidence before, you just proved you can beat TEC.
Definitely. I mean, we said TEC seemed like the stronger team coming in. Completely Melted had already gotten an upset victory. They needed another one. We're already seeing them 1-0 up. I was not expecting this coming into it, but Completely Melted looked strong. Obviously, round number 2 looked a little bit more rough, I would say. But once they got their feet dug in, it seemed really difficult to bury them out.
Yeah, and I mean, that just comes down to the nature of their DPS line, right? When you're on both Venture and Tracer, these are both flanker DPS. They don't want to take full-out team fights, right? They want to isolate someone, take a 1v1. That's why you saw Clobber, a lot of times, hiding in a corner somewhere, lurking, waiting for that lone straggler, and, being able to get those picks consistently. Obviously, the skill is there for that, but that's where, again, this comp starts to falter, because when those team fights happen, when you saw Completely Melted just say, you know what, we're just going to stack as 5, make sure we stay together, no stragglers, those picks can't come through, and all of a sudden the DPS line, they're sort of waiting for the rest of their team to do something, but on a team that's been relying on their DPS a lot of the season, it creates a situation where everybody's just stuck waiting.
Yeah, I mean, like you said too, Completely Melted, when they were moving first, when they were the ones making decisions, it felt like they were the ones in control of the fight. They were in control of the map, and they take that first map now. TEC gonna be on the back foot here, maybe an unexpected place for them to be. They do have another map now to try and climb their way back up.
Yeah, a next map for sure here, as well as, you have to remember, right, our playoff format, they can pick map and mode, so, lots of nuance and specialty has to go into that, but TEC's decision has been made. The little voice in our head, I promise I'm not crazy, has whispered to us and told us that we will be heading to King's Row here. It's been another, staple sort of pick for these Malga metas, with everybody clashing into each other, right? You're not going to expect too crazy a thing here, but I think maybe this offers a little more of those flank routes, a little more of those options for TEC to sort of, get their Venture in, get their Tracer into those back lines, because, Kings Row is known for that, right? You have so many little paths like the hotels and things like that.
Definitely, and also just the high ground to work from as well, where there wasn't as much of that in Lijiang Tower. So we'll see how things switch up a bit here. Now, I'm kind of curious what TEC are going to look to do here, because we already saw them capitulate a little bit here. They moved over to the Malga in round number 2. It seemed to work a little bit better for them, but did not actually get them the win. Do you expect anything else in terms of composition to be changing here?
I mean, it could be some hit scan and things like that that come into the fold, right? I think, if we're looking towards the top level play, right? Pro play. We saw that some Ashe compositions can work really, really well on King's Row, especially if your Ashe player is just cracked out of their mind. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see if there's potential for some hit scan play to be had here. As well as, on the side of Completely Melted, right? They've brought out some very niche DPS picks already, like we saw the Junkrat and things coming out on Lijiang Tower, and that's not something you can play everywhere, right? That's a specific control center pick. So I'd be interested to see where DK is going to end up after, potential hero swaps.
You see it is going to be TEC moving first here, as we are seeing at least Completely Melted go for, a pretty similar to what we do have the Sojourn, which came out here, which I have not seen too much of.
I mean, yeah, they made the Sojourn. It's very simple, very reliable damage. Like Ashe is like, hey, you can hit your shots, but you also really have to be out of the fight. Sojourn can be a little bit in and out as they need to, using the slide and such. But now we actually have a Genji duel going on instead of the Tracers here. I feel like this is going to be a very interesting setup because, again, the Genjis, they sort of had to play around their Malgas, but Johanna's, I just noticed, back on the Orisa.
It does not want to give that up. Feels like this map will be a little bit different here, but already getting dove in on, and Freg also losing some HP. The dive in maybe not going as expected though, as Rod FD does fall. Depsy able to fight against Clobber here on the Venture, but Clobber is getting kills on the other side, and it completely melted have been as such completely taken off the map, and an easy first fight for TEC.
I mean, completely melted. They took that fight exactly how TEC wanted it. Don't take a 5v5 team fight. We want you to just sort of isolate yourselves, take these one-on-one engagements here, because that's where TEC has always thrived, right? They can beat you on that 1v1 level, especially when you have, you know, the Zen now in play for Ackerman, right? Applying that Discord can burst down these targets, make them a little more squishy than they normally would be.
It's going to make people take notice at this point, because you cannot risk yourself as much when that Discord orb is on you, Clobber. Waiting. Looking. Does not want to actually go out entirely here. So this first choke point going to be hit here. The Sojourn still in the backline trying to fire away, and we're just waiting for that moment, and then we may have had that moment. Clobber diving in here, and they're going to go over to the backside here as Rod FD just gets eviscerated. Karama's in the backline though, and both supports for TEC have been taken down. Completely melted, still have Tomex up. The blade out from Karama will get the kills, and it is a good hold there, a team kill for Completely Melted.
Yeah, but I mean, losing even one member when TEC, I believe, lost, or Completely Melted rather, lost two, means this defense is already going to have it to give up space, right? This arch hold is no longer going to be possible for the time being, because it takes so long on Kings Row to actually get those people back into the fight. Like, look, D-Crew's still walking back.
Yeah, and now we have Juno ults on both sides. Depsy already down. The Zenyatta ult coming out as well. And there is the blade from Coughlin to try and seal the deal. Gets killed. Greg going down as well. Karama had another blade ready to go, and I think may have saved this crosshold here, as D-Crew is up above, able to hold again. But like you said, they just don't have the ability to hold. They have so much further to walk back, and the point will still continue to move.
And this next one is going to be so interesting, right? Because you see the little blue Genji hiding. Karama is way back on point A somewhere, and whether TEC is aware of this or not, to have to try to pincer from behind is going to be either, you know, extremely successful or a big fail. There's no in between. And I found your answer.
There we go. Ackerman does take Karama out, and Depsy using the Mauga ult, chaining in. Freg will take Freg down. D-Cruz got taken out by Clobber in the backline, and there's the Orisa ult as well, as there is Johannes going down. There's no supports again for TEC. They've not been able to keep them alive. Tomex is the one popping off hard here, taking down multiple members of TEC, and it will be Completely Melted who hold once again.
And TEC, they're feeling a little bit, you know, maybe disgruntled, right? This Zenyatta Juno backline, it lacks the sustain, right? So if Completely Melted can make these fights last longer than just a moment, that's why they're getting so much value. Johannes now making the swap over to the Mauga themselves, but still having the Zen in play means that it's going to be, you know, TEC's job to try to burst Depsy down, get the enemy Mauga out of the fight, because again, if it goes long, it's Completely Melted favorite all the way.
Depsy charging in. We'll try and get back to the team here. Gonna go right back into the fight and just stomp in. D-Cruz freely firing from behind here. Coughlin does take Depsy down. Ackerman gets traded for that, but it is Karama not able to get both supports this time. And that means TEC have the ability to push forward. Tomex using the Juno ult to try and buy a little bit of time here, waiting for that tank to come back, but Johannes is still pushing forward. Coughlin taking down Tomex as well, and they're going to push forward up to the next capture point here and try to get this down. Coughlin, though, does fall, and Completely Melted regain control here, a little bit too far from TEC.
I mean, a little too far, as well as a smart rally investment, right? I mean, Rod FD, realizing Tomex isn't there, they have to be the main healer and do everything for this team. TEC, they are coming into this with all 5 ultimates, though. Ideally, they don't have to expend all 5, as they know there's not much of an ult opposition on the other side of things. But it really is going to come down to how much they expend here that can determine their point C.
Tomex takes down the tank, so that is the tank bond. Jahada's still waiting to get back up as the Blade. Not going to do anything thanks to the Transcendence, but Ackerman does get taken down afterwards, and now there's no front line to hold back Completely Melted. Dempsey did go down, so Jahadis will be back and able to push with the team before Completely Melted are ready.
But again, like, look at this. We're fighting at the beginning of point B once again here. So, and all this time the payload's rolling back. So, even with TEC having a good ult fight, even if they win this one on the payload, chances are they're going to have another fight at the end of point B, and they're still not able to remove D-Cruz from their backline.
D-Cruz is still back here. We thought it'd be the Genji just in the backline, but D-Cruz has been able to stay up for a bit, cause some problems. Does trade 1-for-1 as Rod FD is stuck with the Malga here. Again, like you said, we are at their spawn point right now. The payload still pushing back, and while yes, TEC are still losing members, they also don't have time. Clobber has been able to grab the payload, sneaking it along, and I think finally Completely Melted have realized they need to run past and stop that payload. There is D-Cruz, who does not win the fight, but Clobber does fall afterwards, and we are in overtime just waiting to see if TEC can get back on this point.
I mean, yeah, they're finally making it there now, but they're being met by opposition time and again here, and they're just losing members.
Now we are still not able to see TEC get back on that payload, and it is a solid round from Completely Melted. Very back and forth on the fights, but Completely Melted get the stop when they needed it, and that's a lot earlier than you usually see that payload stop.
I mean, yeah, it's a completely achievable goal here, and TEC, you know, I think they're starting to realize it's a brand new world, not the world they played in throughout the regular season, and I think their inability to adapt, right? You're seeing this hesitation of not being willing to go over to the Malga, as well as the way they're splitting in their composition, right? Everybody's still playing in this individual style, not linked up as a team. It's hurting them time and again here. So TEC, I mean, these adaptations need to be made, otherwise Completely Melted might get a new title known as the Giant Slayers.
We will see. TEC need to hold strong, and they need to hold hard here because they don't have a lot of space to give Completely Melted. We've seen what they can do when they can start getting control of the map. So we will see what they can accomplish this time, because, man, going up 2-0 would be a crazy, crazy start to this series.
Yeah, and TEC, again, they're back over to the Orisa for their defense. You know, again, it comes back to that maybe being a comfort pick or what have you, but Coughlin on the Ashe, I like this if you're going to play the Orisa, right? Because it implies that you're willing to take longer in these fights, right? And you're setting up Coughlin to be that difference maker, right? Landing dynamites onto these grouped up, Completely Melted players time and again. This can be a nice little setup for them here, but they do have to make sure somebody pressures this point.
They already are starting to get onto it a little bit here, and Completely Melted have already taken down Jahadis and Frag. It's just that easy for them. Again, getting the first fights strong and gaining control of the pace of the map. Completely Melted have not been able to be stopped here, and we are already seeing the point grabbed. Likely going to be capped here. They need to start moving into it. Doesn't finally get it contested. Clobber onto the point. The rest of the team needs to eventually start moving up to help, and now we're seeing the fight fully break out. Tanks deep into the point, but the Orisa is losing HP fast. Jahad is gonna go down. Point just about captured, and that will be a win for Completely Melted right out the gate.
Yeah, and that's going to be a full team wipe as well on the side of TEC. So you're seeing Completely Melted push far forward here because they don't want that chokehold that, you know, they were just able to implement beautifully on their own defense to be sent right back at them, right? Holding at those arches right outside of the start of point B is so unbelievably brutal. You're not expecting, you know, an insane fight, but actually Dempsey's still going in.
Dempsey's still pushing here. Meanwhile, Rod FD dancing on the payload. Not even there for the fight, and they are still trying to push back. They are almost half halfway through the next area for the payload right now, as 4 members, Completely Melted, are controlling this so heavily. D Cruz gets the kill on Coughlin. They look unstoppable.
And now with this orbital ray as well, the dance might be the dance of victory already here, but Clobber's opening it up.
Bobber, Karama also doing some work here, starting to move over to Jihadis. They cannot get this Orisa down just yet. There is the damage. Jihadis will go down. Remember, they don't even need to go this far. They just need to get just before the capture point. They are almost finished on this map already.
Oh my goodness, it's this back and forth affair here, but potentially the stabilization's there for TAC off the back of that tectonic shock, but they still have so much more to do. At least they have some tools to do it with. The point!
The point, they just don't touch it! They C9'd it and Completely Melted. Now up 2-0 on maps. And honestly, okay, we have seen some upsets come through. We have seen some teams get maps off teams that we did not expect to drop maps. We have not seen them look this good while doing it.
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, if you were watching this, you wouldn't understand how this is supposed to be an upset. You're like, oh, Completely Melted is just this much better than this team. But, I mean, they're actually just delivering a performance that, you know, it's insane what's exactly happening on our screens here. TEC, you know, this style, the way that they've played all season long, it seems to have just fallen by the wayside. They're just not feeling it today, whatever the reason may be here. And now they find themselves on the precipice of having to go to the lower bracket. And Completely Melted, they're just so unbelievably dominant right now. They're holding forward. They're not just winning, but they're crushing their opponent's spirit, mind, and all. It absolutely insane performance from them so far.
I mean, I think part of it just comes from the backline access, right? How many times have we seen Karama just Genji ulting into the backline, taking the supports out? Multiple times I've said the supports are already dead. And at that point, the fight just feels lost. TEC, they've got to make some adjustments. They're going to have to take some time to do so. And we're going to take some time during a break here. And we will be right back with map number 3 after this. Welcome back, everybody. We have had a little bit of time to catch our breath because I know I needed it. We are now seeing Completely Melted 2-0 up on the previously undefeated regular season TEC, now coming in backs against the wall, one map away from going into the losers bracket.
Yeah, and I'd love to say, there's been moments of brilliance. It's been this real, absolute crazy fest here, but Completely Melted has just been running away with it on this new Malga meta. TEC refusing to adapt a lot of the time, still trying to go to their old ways, the Orisa, the Zen picks, things like that. But, it's just not viable in this day and age, right? The balance gods have decreed that Malga is here for the time being with the Juno Brig backline, and we just have to accept it. Silver lining for TEC is they still have complete control of the board right now. They can pick any mode, any map, whatever it may be. As long as it's in the pool, it is an option for them here. Maybe there's something in there that can suit their style just a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we have seen what Clash can be in terms of just like, it can be really fast and over, or it could just be so scrappy and back and forth, and maybe that's going to work in TEC's favor. Like you said, they are the team that wants to take the 1v1s. They are the team that wants to individually fight you, not take this group effort, and hopefully the scramble can work in their favor, because they definitely need to start picking up some points for themselves. Yeah, and so it is just sort of that, hoping and wanting to see. Clash is actually going to be their pick here. We are going to Hanaoka. It's an interesting one to say the least. I think the Venture can get Miles out here for sure. There's so many different pathways for the Tectonic Shock to roll over points, so many little angles to control as well here. But, what is the rest of the team going to play, right? I feel like it's very crucial that TEC accepts that they have to play this Malga. Malga can live so much longer than Orisa, right? Like, it's just what it comes down to nowadays. Survivability has been the name of tanks for metas on metas now, right? Whichever tank is the most survivable is the meta, because the rest just end up getting blown up in these fights here. So that's why you're seeing it. D-Cruise, I do not think the Bastion is real. It'd be funny, but I do not think it is real. Clobber's going to TP everybody out probably before going over to the Venture themselves here. So this could actually be our first signs of a solid mirror matchup, but the Bastion is leaving spawn. The Bastion is real. Okay. So we are going to get T-Crews on the Bastion here. Maybe they've got some kind of plan, some kind of expectation going into this here, but we are going to get on to the first point and just break out into fights already. The Malga mirrored here. Clobber going to pop out and try to do what Venture does best, popping people. T-Crews already taken down by Coughlin. And Jihadis getting the heals needed. Karama and Depsy starting to lose HP, but they are still fighting it out. Rod FD is gone and now completely melted. May not have the numbers to continue this. Karama, though, does take out both the DPS, and now TEC, while they have the health bars here, it is slowly being whittled away. Point close to being capped here. Needs to be fought over by Completely Melted.
Yeah, and this fight just going back and forth here, cardiac overdrives. And again, it's a sustain, right? The healers are here to keep Johannes in the fight, and that's what's helping them stay in this.
Here comes Juno ult down. Rally used by Ackerman as well, but Completely Melted. They are just fighting through it here. The HP advantage has given them so much, and now they're the ones on the point. They've completely flipped it and started capping it themselves. Depsy and Rod FD grabbing some kills as Ackerman is gone, and they are going to continue capping this. I believe Completely Melted gonna grab this one for the first point.
It was an expensive thing, though, right? Orbital Ray and Cage Fight, two massive ultimates now down that are going to be in the hands of TEC for this next one as we head over to point D. So massive advantage there. I feel like as long as they're timed well, right, you should be able to just win this one outright for TEC.
Already getting in the fight here, burning the cooldowns. Rally is going to be used by Completely Melted. They want to keep their HP healthy here. Will grab Ackerman and Jihadis, and TEC again on the back foot. They're just completely wiped, and Completely Melted again gaining control and continuing the pressure they have this entire day.
And, I mean, that's, again, the worst-case scenario that could happen for the side of TEC. The Orbital Ray comes out right as Johannes ends up going down, so now you lose the Orbital Ray, you lose the value you get from it, and you can't even cage fight into that here. The upside right now for TEC is that it's the spawn doors, right? They're going to have massive advantage here as they're already showing.
Sepsi lost. Tomek's gone as well. Karama starting to do what Karama does best. The Blade doing some work. T-Crews takes Clobber out as well. But the tank line being gone is a problem. TEC do lose their other healer. And again, the healers are gone. And it is Completely Melted that are winning out on the fight. But the spawns are helping out. The extra timers for TEC are getting them back on the map faster. And Completely Melted can't grab the point.
But Completely Melted willing to re-engage into this, especially with the cage. It's so crazy, but it just might work.
They're pushing in, HP bars falling. D-Crews, Rod FD, they're wiping them. Coughlin is the last member alive to try and stop them from capping. They're gonna get 1 point here, and they have 2 more to grab. They're not going to get challenged on this one. It's going to go down to a single point possibly, as now in comes Johannes. Maybe a little bit early, not getting heals. The tank line is gone. Tomex and Karama have fallen in the meantime, though. But it is another point. 1 point away from the series being theirs. Completely Melted. Not able to get it just yet, as in comes Coughlin to try and chase them away. And I think TEC finally gained their ground back.
I mean, they gained it while they're literally on their last legs. They cannot drop a single point. They now have to run it from E to A flawless for the rest of the map. Completely Melted. They can honestly give points, right? Especially this next one where you know they're going to be at an ult disadvantage, right? Let TEC burn in this one, then come into C or even B with a massive ult advantage and just win the fight out right there.
That I available for Coughlin. Not looking to burn it just yet as he is getting chased down. Go back away. Clobber is gone. Everybody's gone already. TEC have lost 3, lost 4, and Karama, like they've been doing the entire day, open up the fight and close out the series. Completely Melted. Look like they'll be able to end this one 3-0.
I mean, that's dominant. It's just domination. If I told you going into this that TEC was the favored team after watching this series, you would be absolutely, like, baffled. You'd think I was on something, but I mean, this is just a massive upset victory here. Completely Melted, not just winning, a series that they were close in, right? They just utterly dominated an opponent that, was up above them, throughout the entire season. So to get a win like that for Completely Melted is massive, and it's, spelling good as now they find themselves already in the winners final.
Yeah, I mean, just domination. We said it was we came into today and you had told me like, yeah, TEC undefeated, Completely Melted, got an upset victory, and the upset victory was 3-2. It was not dominant in any way, shape, or form. So I was thinking, yeah, TEC should look pretty strong in this. They didn't look like they were ready at all. They weren't matching the compositions, they weren't matching the fights, and TEC just got completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, and so now they have a lower bracket run ahead of them if they're hoping to get that trophy. But I mean, Completely Melted, it really is looking up for them, especially in this meta here. But we could sing their praises all day long, but I'm pretty sure that the players could do it better themselves. So if you'll bear with us, give us just a moment to set it up. We're going to have an interview with Depsy from the side of Completely Melted when we get back.
Welcome back, everybody. A dominant victory today from Completely Melted in what we considered a heavy upset, the 3-0 against TEC. We are now here with Depsy. And Depsy, how are you guys feeling after, honestly, a very strong victory on the day?
We're feeling pretty how would I say it, level-headed. It was a pretty expected victory for us. At least me being added to the team after joining for playoffs. I heard that there was some roster issues in the earlier game against TEC, which we unfortunately lost to. But running out on Lijiang and after map 1, feeling very confident, knowing how the game was gonna end already.
I mean, hey, listen, that confidence clearly showed with you guys being able to run it down. I mean, coming from the TEC side of things, just sort of your headspace for this match, did you expect them to sort of take this off-meta approach where they're running the Orisa a lot, or did you really think they were going to match you and they just didn't show up on the day?
I mean, knowing the meta, like I don't really expect anyone to run out on anything except Mauga. I think it's quite a hard task to put yourself to do. So wasn't expecting it, but seeing it, it was kind of just okay. Just do our own thing, and the comp is gonna just do something, and don't really have to worry much about it.
Yeah, makes sense to me here. I mean, you guys look so confident, so calm on this, which is, such a good switch up from Completely Melted. Like you said, some additions coming in, like yourself, for the postseason here, really making a difference, because now 2 massive upset victories, you find yourselves in winner's final. I mean, is it safe to say that Completely Melted, do you guys feel like you're the Giant Slayers now?
Oh, definitely. We're winning the whole thing. That's for sure. I didn't come here. I didn't come here to lose. We're taking the whole thing home.
Strong words. Last thing, do you have anybody you want to shout out, whether it be people who've helped you with in-game, out-of-game, just any shout outs you want to get out before we close out for the day?
I mean, I want to shout out for the whole team, all the players, and for the staff as well, our amazing manager. And then I want to personally shout out to my lovely fiance who is supporting me always. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, thank you, Depsy, for the interview, and congratulations once again. Hope you guys go celebrate your victory on the day. But that is going to be it for us here. We do not have another stream here coming up until Friday here. So we are going to be gone for a little bit, but we will be back. We have a lot more playoffs to go through. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here, watching 5,000 Eyes. That's Megalass. Hope you all have a wonderful night.